Welcome to the last tour Tuesday of 2021, everybody. Wow. I can't believe,
Yay!
yay. I can't believe we're saying happy holidays and things like that. That just is so, I don't know. I feel like we just said happy holidays a few months ago, and here it's been a whole year. So it's good to see everybody. We have a super fun Tour Tuesday planned for you today. I have a special co-host. He's kind of like a celebrity, especially while at Starr for sure. And that's Gene Gray. So everybody say hello to Gene.
Hi. Hi.
Excellent. Good to see you, Gene. Gene and I are going to co-host today's event, and we're going to be talking all about cross country. We have 27 days to talk to you about. So we're not going to delay. We're going to jump right in. It's absolutely terrific. If you have questions and it's the right time to ask, feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question. If you think it's better to save the question until the end, absolutely. We have thought of a few questions that we think you're going to ask. So if you think other people have the same question, you may want to wait. We will answer a bunch of your questions at the end, but if you have something specifically related to one of our days of the trip, jump in and ask. I see a couple other tour directors I'd like to welcome. I see Evie Simon. Hello, Evie. I see Catherine Schwartz, who is our Air Tours tour director. She's waving there too. And I know Gene and Kathy are going to be going on tour next week, end of next week.
Yeah.
Next week together to Memphis.
Yeah.
And welcome to Deborah Ayers, who spent the day working and is now on the call with us. So, and then welcome back to all of you folks that have been with us before. And if there's any newcomers, and I do see some new names, welcome to you as well. So, I'm just going to go ahead and start because that's what we do. And we're going to talk about this amazing cross-country trip. Yes, it actually does go across the country. It starts in Pennsylvania, on a very easternmost spot in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. So you'll come from wherever you live. We'll either pick you up at one of our fantastic locations throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. We'll bring you to Bensalem, and that's where we're all going to meet. And Gene will start off the tour from Bensalem, and then it goes all the way to California and back. But of course, we don't retrace our steps because that would not be fun as to try new places on the way back. So this is what it looks like, this fabulous map. And there are the prices right there. I'm going to be honest. It's not a cheap tour, but as Gene, what do you say about the price, Gene?
Oh, I just don't understand how you make a profit on this with all the hotels and for 27 nights and everything, all the attractions, everything's so expensive. I don't know.
Well, it takes a lot of hard work and effort, and we have some great partners. But I think you've said to me, Gene, like it's the greatest value ever,
Yes.
Because it does offer so much, and you'd have to take, I don't know, a dozen different plane trips to see all of these things that you see. And you still wouldn't be able to see all the stuff that we see. So it really is a good value, even though that number is kind of like a gulp number. It includes 24 breakfasts, 5 lunches, and 4 dinners. Yes, you get to eat on those other nights, and for lunch, some of the dinners we don't actually count. They're called kickbacks at the Drury Inn. And I know a lot of you would agree that they're dinner enough and there's no additional cost. So there's actually even more dinners kind of included in those numbers. But we keep it pretty understandable as 24 breakfasts, 5 lunches, and 4 dinners. So next year's trip departs on September 4th, comes back on September 30th. So you're virtually gone the whole entire month of September. and you'll be back on October 1st. So what can we say? So we're going to kick this right off, and we're just going to jump right into day one. We've got a slide for each day. And I'm going to let Gene take you through this itinerary because he is the expert. We do the planning in the office, but you can plan a trip and work so hard. But as the tour directors on this call know, and especially Gene knows, that it just lives differently than it does on paper in real life. So I will let Gene take you through.
Okay, so we leave Ben Salem, and our first day, we have a few days, just about 3 days, that are mostly riding trips. And our goal is to get out west as quickly as possible. So we go directly from Ben Salem to Ohio, where we're at our first Drury Inn for the night. And this is where you get to love your Drury Inns. For example, they have the kickback, and we make sure we get there before 6:30, so that the kickbacks are from 5:30 to 7 each night. What that is basically the Drury Inn serves like finger foods and drinks, free finger foods and free drinks. And everybody loves it. The finger foods are plentiful enough that they could be dinner for the evening. And the drinks are plentiful enough. Well, I won't go into that any further. But so everybody seems to be off to a really good mood after that first evening. So
I'm going to interrupt you really quickly, if you don't mind, Gene. I should have asked, how many people have actually been on the cross-country trip before? Raise your hand. Oh,
Quite
good. There's a good amount. So if you guys agree with what Gene's saying, especially like the kickback, if you want to chime in about the kickback or something else, feel free to do that. Or you can also post in the chat. So I know everybody loves Drury Inns. And we try to stay at them as much as possible. They're a little bit more expensive, but you get what you pay for. And we certainly love them. They're not in every city, so we can't always stay there. But if you want to chime in on anything, feel free to unmute yourself and just pop in. All right.
All right. By the way, there are other recommendations for dinner other than Drury Inns each night.
Good point.
I do make those available to you.
Right. Even though we'll never just have that as an option, because some people might not want the finger foods or the, that type of food. So they might want to go someplace else. And Gene will always have that information for you.
Day 2, we head down south now from Grove City, and we go to Louisville, not Louisville, Louisville, Kentucky. And we go to the Louisville Slugger Museum, Bat Museum, and we do a really wonderful tour. We have lunch there as well. That's one of our lunches. And we do a tour, and they have a great little gift shop. And after that, we go off to the Evan Williams Bourbon Experience, where we actually take a tour of the Evan Bourbon, factory. And then we have a taste testing, and you taste, I think it was 4 different bourbons, and our guide explains each one. I guess the goal is to, sell bottles there. However, it's really a very nice little experience, and you can drink or not drink, but, it's very nice. And that second night, lo and behold, our second Drury Inn, where you'll be able to get your kickback, or there are many other restaurants in walking distance of the hotel as well. All right, we get up the next morning and we head out to Churchill Downs and the backstretch breakfast tour. Now, we expect to see horses in the backstretch breakfast tour. First, you go and you have breakfast, and then you want to, then you go to actually the track where the horses are running. You also see the stables where the horses are being washed. except for 2021, when the horses were away due to construction for 4 days. And one of them just happened to be the day that we arrived. So instead, we got a very, very knowledgeable and became very popular, a jockey who was 70 years old and complained about gaining weight when he was 119 pounds. I wanted to, but he was very, very nice, and everybody really fell in love with him. So although it didn't take the place of not seeing the horses, it was a nice, they went out of their way to try to compensate. But you should see horses running on the track. A lot of times the trainers on the horses stop and talk to us as we're watching, and it's really an exciting tour. And after that, we hop on the bus. We have lunch at a rest stop, not a rest stop, an exit in Smiths Grove, Kentucky, where there are 4 fast food places. We park right in the center, and you could go get a quick lunch. And then we're off to Nashville, and we have dinner in the Gaylord Opryland Hotel, which is a sight to behold. It's an indoor extravaganza, lots of places to eat, places to visit, lots of shops. It's actually a hotel. It's incredible to see. And then at night, we go to the Grand Ole Opry performance. And that's a highlight of our trip, no matter what. You don't know who's performing in the Grand Ole Opry, but 2 years ago, Barbara, who's on with us today, and yelled, or maybe it was Art, "Gene, guess who's playing the Grand Ole Opry tonight?" And it happened to be Lee Greenwood, who finished the show with "God Bless the USA."
And it was great.
Yeah. Oh, Carol, you were there too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. And
everybody was standing.
Everybody was standing and rocking back and forth. And it was a great surprise. So the Grand Ole Opry is a tremendous performance. And this year we're staying at the Hyatt Place Opryland Hotel. So that's a different hotel. I'm sure it'll be equally as fine as the others. We get up the next morning on day 4, and there's the man. I try to show videos, and on the way down, I show a video of the life of Elvis Presley. I'm not going to give away all my secrets with the videos. However, Elvis, I have a video that really explains from basically birth to his last concert in Vegas, his life, which is fascinating. And then we go and we celebrate Elvis at Graceland, and it's absolutely a tremendous day. We have 4 hours in Graceland, and that's another lunch that Starr provides. And then we go to the house, and we can go to if you haven't been there since 2018, starting in 2018, they completed the construction, and it's a completely different experience. The mansion, which used to, some people would say 2 to 3 hours over there because there was so much to see across the street. They moved a lot of the memorabilia into museum style buildings. And that's what the finished construction was a couple of years ago. And it's absolutely beautiful. And all of his costumes stand out. His automobiles stand out. And it's just an incredible museum honoring such an iconic and fabulous star.
And you get to go next week.
And I get to go next week and see Graceland at night. And I know Barbara and Art, you're joining us. So I'm real excited about that.
I have somebody who has a quick question
yes.
for you. Let's see. I have to ask. Do you have a question? Do you want to ask the question now? Let's see. They have to unmute. All right. Well, you guys just chime in when you're able to unmute yourself. Go ahead, Jean.
Also, what's nice about day 4 is our hotel is not too far from Beale Street. It's only 2 blocks away, and we're staying in a new hotel. And Beale Street is really exciting with all the jazz and all the nightclubs and the restaurants, which are iconic for Memphis. Day 5, we start off the day by paying homage and and paying our respects to Dr. Martin Luther King by going to the Lorraine Motel, which is the hotel that he was assassinated at on April 5th, 1968. His Cadillacs are right down below the balcony. The balcony has bunting on it, which is really touching to see. And so we spend a little time at the Lorraine Motel. Then we travel off to Oklahoma City, where we have another lunch at an exit, Arkansas, with 4 restaurants clustered so that we have everybody can choose what restaurants they want to go to. And then and that's basically, after the Lorraine Motel, another day of driving, because we're covering a lot of mileage going from Memphis all the way to Oklahoma City. Of course, Glenn Campbell's, by the time I get to Phoenix, has all these stops on it as we go along out west. I'll explain that later. Then day 6, we start off the day once again by paying homage and paying our respects at the Alfred P. Murray Federal Building, the site of the Oklahoma City bombing back in 1995. And there's a beautiful yard in the back, a memorial to all the people, all the victims who were killed that day. And there's a park ranger. It's a national park, so it's a park ranger who will talk to us and explain what everything means. Everything is so beautifully done. And this year, folks, we're gonna have even more time there. We'll have a full half hour there. We won't have to rush out. Last year we had to rush out because we have a 10 o'clock appointment to the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, which is an absolute prize museum. We are guided around the museum, and it has everything Wild West, artists and sculptors and stories about the Wild West. And it's really a tremendous museum. And again, we're extending our time there this next year. People loved it so much, they said, we need more time. So we are going to extend our time there a little bit more. And we do have lunch there as well, which is another one of our Starr lunches. And then at night, we have another one of our dinners. This is one of 2 days that we have both breakfast. We have all breakfast, lunch, and dinner on Starr. And we eat at the Big Texan State Ranch. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Big Texan State Ranch, it's featured on the Food Network, the Food Channel. And they have a contest, not that any of us have ever done it. However, you get put on a platform and you're served a 72-ounce steak with all the fixings. And if you can finish it within 60 minutes, you get it for free. If you can't, you have to pay $72 or $1 an ounce. And we've seen people try it, never seen anybody finish it, but there is a record of one 20-something-year-old thin young lady who finished her steak and the fixing in 4 minutes and 15 seconds. And there's a video that you can see. If you go look up Big Texan State Ranch contest, you can see her actually on YouTube. You can actually see her eating it. And
no, thank you. No, thank you, Gene.
I don't know if you want to even watch it. If you've seen Mr. Chestnut eat his hot dogs on 4th of July, it's similar like that, but that's about all I want to say. It's a wonderful dinner, by the way. You can have your choice of steak or chicken, or they have a vegetarian menu as well. And it's absolutely delicious and very filling. And then you get to walk around there afterwards. Next morning, we have a very interesting, short stop in the morning at Cadillac Ranch. If you know the song Cadillac Ranch by Bruce Springsteen, he actually wrote that song based on this 1975 hippie style monument that just went up in the middle of nowhere in Texas. And it's now a site. It doesn't quite look like that in the picture on the bottom right anymore, because right now the cars have been stripped totally, except for the frame over the years. However, you can still pick up a can of spray paint and put your John Hancock or your colorful imagination anywhere on these Cadillacs.
What are they?
Yeah. Oh, okay. After this, we then travel into Albuquerque, and
What does that mean?
Albuquerque, New Mexico, and
Mm.
we have lunch at a brand new market that
Yeah.
just opened up in 2019 that has a plethora of different kinds of foods and desserts. It's absolutely lovely and wonderful. It's like an oasis that we found this. I have a friend in Albuquerque, Dina, who was a former student of mine, who's now 51 years old. Yeah, she was a former student of mine, and she lives in Albuquerque, and we get together for dinner every year when we go out. And I called Dina and said, where could we eat? And she said, oh, Sawmill Market just opened up. And so we tried it this year, 2021, it was outstanding. So that's Americana at its best with all kinds of Western flair food. Then we fly high to 10,000 feet in a big bucket, as you can see there, to go to the Sandia Peak. And we take the tram up, and beautiful, magnificent views from atop overlooking New Mexico. And for the next 2 evenings, we're at the Jury Inn. And guess what? There are a lot of restaurants around the Jury Inn. But what do you have? You have your magnificent kickback, which everybody loves. So, and I know we have the sign historic Route 66 because we start Route 66 on I-40. Route 66 is pretty much gone right now. It has a few little exits, and we do a few miles on the original Route 66, but I-40 has taken it over. And from Oklahoma City all the way through into California is Route 66 off of I-40, and it ends in Malibu, California. It begins in Chicago. So at the end of the trip, we actually get to the beginning of Route 66, which is pretty cute. The next day, day 8, we are a full day in Albuquerque, and we go to the really beautiful balloon museum. We have lunch in Old Town Albuquerque, which is a real throwback to like 100 years ago. And then we go to the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. And if we can time it like we did last year, which I have no doubts that we will, we'll be able to see a show there, a live show at the Pueblo Cultural Center. And then we'll do a self-guided tour of the museum as well. So that's a full day in Albuquerque, and then we head back to the Jury Inn and for the evening and dinner on our own. All right, continuing now, we're hitting the national parks, our first of the national parks. And the first thing I do is on day 9, I recommend to the passengers, start your passport book. I don't know if you can see it in my hand or not, but this is really awesome. For a few dollars, these are not expensive at all. Get a passport book, and as you go through the national parks, you buy a stamp set for that year, which includes the national park that you're in. And that's another way of, a really nice souvenir at the end of the trip. Plus, it's really good as you continue to visit national parks on your own in the future. Petrified Forest is absolutely magnificent. We actually have lunch at the Painted Desert. Painted Desert, Petrified Forest are one national park with 2 different names. The first part is the Painted Desert, which shows beautiful scenic pictures like the one that you see in the middle on the right. It looks like it's a painting on a canvas. It's absolutely gorgeous, hard to believe. And then we continue our tour and we go into the Petrified Forest. What's really nice about the Petrified Forest tour, there's this one area It's called the Crystal Forest, that has all the petrified, I shouldn't say all, but a great amount of petrified wood that we can actually walk up to and sit on. And we actually do a 3/4 of a mile tour or hike in a circular. It's a circular hike around and take pictures on the petrified wood. It's really fantastic. And then after this, we travel into beautiful Sedona, Arizona. I want you to know Arizona is one of the 2 states in the United States that do not change their clocks. So Arizona always stays on, well, right now they're 2 hours time difference because we changed our clocks, but when we change our clock back in March, they'll be now 3 hours. They're in the same time frame when we arrive as California, as Pacific time, even though they're in Mountain time. But more on that on the trip itself. But we go into beautiful Sedona and the beautiful red rocks that Sedona is known for, the picture on the left. And we have dinner on our own in Sedona, very nice little restaurants right next to our hotel. And, you know, you can go party, great Italian pizza place we ate in last year, and other people ate sit down restaurant, Chinese restaurant, you know, very nice restaurants in that area. And the next day we were actually do one of my favorites, the Pink Jeep Tour. We actually go to the Badlands of Sedona. Badlands is just a word that means rough terrain, and we take the Jeep through the Badlands or the rough terrain of the Sedona Hills. And we are bouncing and bouncing and bouncing and holding on, sometimes for dear life. And we do, you know, out of a 1 to 5, with 5 being the steepest trip and 1 being the easiest trip, we basically do a 3. So we get a very nice tour that I'd say is optimum for me anyway, and I'm sure many of us felt the same way. After the 1.5-hour Jeep tour, we're then going to be on our own in Sedona to try the Western fare food. And I have a favorite restaurant right across the street from the Pink Jeep tour that sells a platter that includes rattlesnake and cactus fries, and try it. That'll be a challenge for all of you going on, a dare to try it. And, you know, you might just like it. It's really outstanding. It's always fun to try new foods in different parts of the country. I find that anyway. That's one of my challenges as well. And after our lunch in Sedona, we're then going to be driving towards Phoenix. And just before Phoenix, Chandler is a suburb of Phoenix, by the way. You see, travel to Chandler. And Frank Lloyd Wright's Taliesin West is there. It's a beautiful Frank Lloyd Wright structure. Haven't seen that yet. Last year it was closed to groups, but this year we have our plans to go. And if it's anything like his other, like Falling Water and his other structures, his other buildings, architecture, we're in for a treat. That was his actual winter retreat, because he lived up in the Chicago and in Minnesota area. So Taliesin West is his summer retreat. And then once again, we go to a Drury Inn also in Chandler, Arizona. Day 11, we now travel into California. And of course, you have to play the Beach Boys in California as you enter. And that night we go to Old Town San Diego, which again is really nice. It's a very festive place. You walk through wide streets, which of course are closed to traffic, and there are shops on each side of the street. And then it opens up into like a restaurant row, and there's bands playing and, Mexican music. And it's just like something, again, out of 100 years ago. And it's really a wonderful visit. Moving on to, we have 2 nights in San Diego. And we have one full day where we go start out at the San Diego Zoo, which is a treat for everybody. You see the koalas there. It's known for its koalas. It used to be known for its pandas, but no more pandas there. The pandas left like 2 years ago. Pandas are in the Washington Zoo, the National Zoo.
We got to update that slide, I guess.
Right, that slide needs to be updated. But a cute looking panda, though.
It is too cute, yeah.
Yeah, but they're not there, unfortunately. We have lunch at the zoo as well on your own. And then we go on a boat cruise, which is really wonderful. We go right by the naval or United States Naval Fleet. And we have a narrated boat cruise, which explains what's there and what the boats are used for. We see a first aid ship. I asked if one of those first aid ships were the ones that came to New York during the pandemic. And they said, no, one like it went to New York, but this one stayed on the West Coast. And so that we have a wonderful full day in beautiful San Diego, where the weather is perfect all the time. Day 13, we're now about halfway through, but we haven't started east yet, which is a big stepping stone on the trip. We start out the day by going to the Presidential Library, the Nixon Presidential Library and Museum in Yorba Linda, California. Now, we said, why? Why are we going to the Yorba Linda? We were going to San Juan Mission at San Juan Capistrano. Unfortunately, it was closed due to COVID, and it's also closed due to something else next year. So in 2022, we're going back to the Presidential Library, which was a highlight of our 2021 trip. It brought out our childhood, folks. It was just very touching. Whether or not you were a fan of Nixon's or not, that doesn't matter here, because the museum tells it like it is. You see right on the property is his boyhood home. Actually, the museum's on the property of his boyhood home and his childhood home, and you get to walk through the childhood home. He and Pat Nixon's grave sites are right there, and guides really take you around beautifully and explain. It takes you back to your childhood and puts things into perspective from the 1960s to the mid-70s. We have a wonderful place for lunch in Yorba Linda as well, a brand new food court mall just opened up there, outdoor mall, which is absolutely beautiful. And in that area, anything outdoors is beautiful. Then we go back to our hotel. We go, the Hilton Garden Inn was a wonderful hotel last year. And then what's really nice is you have the option of either going out for dinner by the hotel, or the first night that we're in LA, we're now in Los Angeles, we go to the Universal City Walk, which has a plethora of wonderful restaurants and shops, and it's just a festive place to go. And last year we happened to hit the first night of the Universal Studios. The City Walk surrounds Universal Studios, but we happened to hit Halloween, the opening night of a Halloween Fright Fest at Universal Studios. It was mobbed by teenagers, but it was really nice to see everybody. It was an unruly crowd. It was a very nice crowd. The kids were wonderful. And it was like, suddenly at 7 o'clock, before we left at 7:30, we see everybody walking towards, in groves, walking towards the entrance to Universal Studios. That was very fun. Day 14, we have a wonderful guided tour with an expert guide who's a good friend of mine now. I've traveled now 3 times with her, and she's lovely. And we do a fantastic tour of LA like only she could do. We go to sites like the Walk of Fame, as you can see the pictures here, the studios, all the sites of Los Angeles. We also see the Hollywood sign from this area. And then she takes us past hotels and the La Brea tar pits, and we have lunch at the famous farmers market, and we go past the Staples Center, and which is changing its name to something I can't pronounce. We go past the area where Robert Kennedy was shot. He was killed in that area, and the hotel that he was killed in was torn down and is now a school in his memory. So it's an absolute wonderful tour of Los Angeles that really stands out. Day 15, we leave Los Angeles and we head to Las Vegas. We have a beautiful 2-night stay in the New York hotel. And basically you're on your own. I recommend anybody who's going to Vegas to check out www.visitlasvegas.com. And on that website, you get all the shows that you can buy into. And I highly recommend seeing a show. I highly recommend walking or riding to the different hotels. You see Venice on the upper left. They have beautiful gondolas riding through it. And each of the hotels are themed. Fabulous 2 days in Las Vegas. That's all I'm going to say about that, because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Smart man, smart man.
Okay, then we go to Flagstaff, and back to Flagstaff, Arizona. And we stop in this really neat restaurant called the Roadkill Cafe, which is right on Route 66. And it also has a general store next to it. You can buy Roadkill Cafe t-shirts. It's a really excellent hamburger. You can get buffalo burgers, elk burgers, different kinds of burgers there. It's the name of it sounds disgusting. It's absolutely excellent little cafe, and it's like an oasis in the desert, to be honest with you. Flagstaff, we spend 2 nights at the Drury Inn in Flagstaff, so what everybody couldn't wait for, that kickback at the Drury Inn for dinner that night. Flagstaff is the gateway to the Grand Canyon, and that's where I'm sitting. My backdrop is the Grand Canyon. To me, this is the most beautiful place I've ever seen on Earth. I can go there and hear music coming. I hear a lot of music anyway, but music is just coming from the hills. It's so gorgeous. We have a sightseeing tour of the canyon, followed by a riding tour that I lead to the different areas, and we make sure that we cover the major viewpoints so that you can see the canyon from very many different angles. And the canyon at 10 a.m. is much different from 12 p.m. and much different from 2 p.m. with the shadows and the clouds. And every 10 minutes is a different view of the canyon. So it's absolutely a magnificent place. However, that wasn't the most important, the favorite place of most of our tours, our passengers this year. We're going to get to that coming up. On day 19, we're heading there. We're heading towards Moab. And again, we stop, and this is another one of our lunches. I found a really nice place to stop right on a river.
Hey, Gene.
Yeah.
It's Deb. Are you hungry? Because you're making me hungry. You're talking more about food as just as much as you're about all the sights.
Well, it's Americana, Deb. It's
I hear you.
Food is celebration of our life.
I hear you, baby. You're good.
Thanks.
He is making me hungry.
Yeah. We have a delicious box lunch right on the river. We found a place where actually you sit at tables and you're covered from the sun, and you can actually dip your feet in the river, and it's really so nice. And then we head up to Moab, Utah, which is right in Canyonlands, and that night was the favorite evening of the passengers for 2021. We have a very nice dinner at the Canyonland by night Dutch oven dinner, and then we walk onto this little pontoon boat, and we sit. It's an open air, no top on us, so we sit in the open, and we just we motor out to a certain spot on the Colorado River, surrounded on all sides by these rocks. And when we're leaving, as we're going out to the spot, the guide is pointing out all these little things. Use your imagination on all these spots and look at the walls. And you can see ET's eyes, for example, or face. So you can see an alligator on another rock. And then before you know it, it's absolutely pitch black. And the view of the sky is what brought everybody to tears. Nobody had ever seen, including myself, a sky that magnificent with the stars out brightly without a light anywhere to interfere, and millions of them you could see. And then they also play this wonderful music and do a light show on the rocks. They said that was the most magnificent evening of the entire trip. So anybody from my trip this year want to chime in on that, you can probably add on to what I said as well. So that's day 19. To me, I love the Grand Canyon, so I can't give that up. However, on day 20, Moab is right next to Arches National Park. We stay at a very nice hotel, the Archway Inn, which is 5 minutes from the entrance to Arches. And I learned early in the year by reading some articles that if you don't get into Arches National Park by 8 o'clock in the morning, you could be closed out. And so I called the hotel manager at the Archway Inn and said, how true is this? He said, sir, it's very true, especially with a bus. He said, you want to get your passengers in there by 7. I said, okay. So we left the Archway Inn at 6:45. We had breakfast. Breakfast began at 6, and we left there at 6:45, and we were in Arches National Park by about 5 to 7. Well, it was dark, but the sky was getting a little lighter when we were climbing up the hill and in Arches National Park, and we stopped at a viewpoint, and we saw about 40 people there with cameras on tripods. That was the most beautiful place to see the sunrise. Without knowing what we were doing, we just stumbled into this absolute treat of a sunrise that it was just magnificent. Sunrise with the beautiful view of Arches was, we're going to do that again this year. We'll make sure we get in early enough this year as well. You see balanced rock there in the middle, and you see windows at the top. And the signature is Delicate Arch, which is the third picture down. We don't get that close to Delicate Arch, but we can see it from a distance. To get that close to Delicate Arch, you have to hike 2.5 hours uphill to get there, and we just don't have the time. And many of us could do it. I'm not saying we can't, but we just don't have the time for that because we have to be on our way and heading towards Denver. We stop for lunch at a mall at Grand Junction, Colorado. We spend our night at a Drury Inn in Denver, Colorado, which is very nice. And you know what everybody ate. Next day, we're going to Fort Laramie for lunch. This year we stopped at Vicky's Saloon. It had its ups and its downs. The ups were the fantastic jukebox. It's an old Western saloon, which was absolutely magnificent. People were dancing to the music in the jukebox. Many people sat at the bar while they served lunch. The down point is that they sold the place. They were selling the place like a few months afterwards. We left. So we're gonna have another restaurant at Fort Laramie this year. So Vicky's isn't going to be there anymore. And then we head up to Mount Rushmore. And as I said with food, and as Deb brought out, I like to try foods in different parts of the country. This is a unique country, folks. Extremely exciting. Mount Rushmore is a highlight for me and anybody who goes there. And Mount Rushmore, the construction has been completed, and they updated their all their facilities. Oh, by the way, in 2021, all the theaters were closed in all the national parks, obviously due to COVID. The theaters is where you see all the videos, the short videos, which give you an introduction about the park or where we're at. But not to worry, because I have most of them in my collection, and I showed them on the bus, because it takes a half an hour, and I don't want you to take a half an hour watching a movie. We're traveling, so you can watch the movie while we're traveling. So it's really exciting to do that, to see the movie and then actually go up to the Mount Rushmore National Park. They also have a boardwalk that they completed. It's about a half a mile circular boardwalk that goes right underneath the nose of George Washington and Teddy Roosevelt and Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln. You get some iconic pictures up close and personal, which is absolutely fantastic. So Mount Rushmore is a must see. And then we have, I believe we're switching hotels that night, but it's not going to be a Drury Inn, but there'll be plenty of restaurants to choose from. Day 22, we start off by going into the Badlands National Park. As I said earlier, Badlands is just a term for rough terrain, but this is called Badlands National Park, the Rough Terrain National Park. It's absolutely gorgeous. We do a tour of many viewpoints in this national park, which is absolutely beautiful to see. They have a lot of animals. This year going in, we saw a buffalo as we were entering Badlands. They're a prairie dog town where you see prairie dog. We also saw longhorn sheep. So it's absolutely magnificent for its wildlife. And then we have lunch at the iconic and famous Wall Drug Store. And lunch is on your own, and you have about an hour and a half of free time. So we spend our time at Wall Drugs. It has 23 little mini shops. Each shop sells something different. One might be totally souvenirs. One might be a leather shop. One might be a semi-drug stores. One might, it goes on and on and on. You can get anything and everything at the Wall Drug. And I'll tell you a little bit of the history of the Wall Drugs as well, as I do in all the places that we go to as well. And then we get on the bus and we travel to Mitchell, South Dakota, for where we spend the evening. And day 23, Mitchell is a small town in South Dakota. And then we travel on to Dubuque, Iowa. Day 23 is a little travel day. We cover a lot of ground as we start heading east, in a big chunk. So we travel to Dubuque, Iowa. At first, we go to the Corn Palace, and it's really an interesting little theater. It's a basketball arena, but everything is, you see all these major wall posters, huge wall, I don't know what you call them, but the walls are covered with murals. That's what it is, a mural of corn pictures. So every mural is all made of different color kernels of corn. And of course, Iowa is known for its corn. And we travel to Dubuque, Iowa as well, where we actually don't pass it, but that's where the Field of Dreams area is. If you've noticed that Major League Baseball is now playing out there one game a year, the Field of Dreams is only like 20 minutes from Dubuque, Iowa, where we spend that evening as well. We have a really nice restaurant in Minnesota where we have a wonderful lunch. Then we head into Chicago, and we have 2 wonderful days into Chicago. We stay right in downtown. We go to the Navy Pier first day. We have our lunch there and walk around. And then we travel to the Chicago Sky Deck, which is in the Willis Tower, which used to be the Sears Tower, but now it's the Willis Tower. And the Sky Deck is 103rd floor, where in the picture on the lower right, you actually step out and look down and nothing but glass is surrounding you. It's a lot of fun if you can do it. Most of us can do it, and some of us can't do it, and you respect it either way. Then, as I said, we then walk across the street from the Willis Tower, and we see our sign at the beginning of Route 66. So it's fun to see the beginning of Route 66. One more word about the Willis Tower. It's all brand new as well. In 2019, when we were there, it was all boarded up. You buy your ticket to go up the elevator to go to the Sky Deck, and you walk this path. And in 2019, it was all boarded up. In 2021, it's a beautiful museum, absolutely magnificent. All Chicago, you walk past Wrigley Field. This is all like in a museum kind of a thing, where you can take your pictures at Wrigley Field, or take your picture with Michael Jordan, or take your picture with the Obamas, or take your picture on a Chicago L train. It's magnificent museum. It makes walking to the elevator a highlight, and the ledge is another highlight. So it's a really fabulous trip. And we have dinner there's lots of places to eat right by our Fairfield Inn in downtown Chicago. And you have dinner on your own. Day 25 is our full day of in Chicago. We do a trolley tour of Chicago. We actually go past Wrigley Field. Actually, there are a couple of them. The ones I've been on goes past Wrigley Field. The one that we might do in 2022 might be a little different. And our guide takes us through Chicago and explains all the little nuances of Chicago. He knows Chicago very, very well. And then we have lunch on our own on the Magnificent Mile. We actually get to walk around Chicago, which is not too, we let you off in downtown, which isn't too far from our hotel. And then we do a boat cruise on the Chicago River, which is absolutely iconic. We actually go out of the Chicago River out into Lake Michigan. We go through a lock, which is a really interesting, if you've ever been through the locks of Panama Canal, this is like the lock on the Chicago River into Lake Michigan, which was pretty awesome. And then that night we have our one of our next to last dinner that's on Starr. It's Gino's East, is a wonderful Italian restaurant where you can try the iconic Chicago pizza. And some people love it, some people don't. But when you're in Rome, you've got to try it. So when you're in Chicago, you've got to try the pizza, like it or not. You've got to be brave. And by the way, never put any ketchup on any hot dogs in Chicago. You'll be thrown out of the city. Then day 26, we travel to Cleveland and we go to the magnificent Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I can't say too much more about that. I show all kinds of videos about some of the inductees into the Hall of Fame. I play lots of music, and the Hall of Fame is just a magnificent treat to walk through and to experience. And then even though we're eating at a Drury, we have our farewell dinner at the Hofbrauhaus restaurant in Cleveland, where we celebrate our final night of the cross country together. And then the next day, as Dorothy's clicking her heels, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. And
nope, not now, dear.
How'd I do with time? Oh, wow. Okay.
That's virtually perfect. Amazing. You're right on time for 7 o'clock. So great job. We'll go back to the presentation in a second. But I want to just, as Jean told you, He went through some specifics with you, but there's so much that happens on the trip, and so many things that can come up and just really add to the whole experience. And of course, the family that you're traveling with. There's just so much that you get out of this cross-country vacation. Does anybody want to, well, I'm going to start to think about what you want to say if you've taken this trip. I want to finish. I'm going to take over from Gene for a second because he needs to take a breath and take some water.
Well, I just wanted to say that, at night when people had time, they loved getting into card games. They loved, just having a drink together and meeting new friends and talking and sharing. And a lot of times at night, you need to do a laundry every once in a while. So there's a laundromat in most of the hotels. There's a couple of machines and a couple of dryers. And you make friends at the laundromat. I recommend that people get there in off time. So like when we arrive at the hotel, do it immediately while other people are eating, or do it a little bit later, or do it first thing in the morning, so that you can get a machine. So if you time your laundries, you can do your laundry. You don't have to pack as much as what people think for 27 days. 40 pounds is a limit on a suitcase to begin with. So, here we go. That's very good. Yeah. So you want to pack your essentials, and I will basically be sending you a letter 3 weeks to a month prior to the trip. And the letter will outline everything that you need to bring, your toiletries and your underclothes and your clothing and about the laundry. And it's easy to do the laundries. And it doesn't take up any time other than, a little time at the hotel where you might be resting in your room, but at the same time you can be partying at the hotel and doing your laundry with other friends from the other passengers. So it's really a place to meet everybody as well.
That sounds great. That sounds great. We'll get back to the first question, which we didn't answer yet, but let's go to the statistics at a glance, right? So this is really cool stuff. We stayed in 20 hotels. This is from 2021. We did 40 attractions and then some. We saw 6 national parks, 12 museums, 3 old towns. We passed through all four time zones in the continental states. We slept in 20 different cities and 14 different states. And we traveled almost 7,300 miles, which is amazing. We stayed in 5 state capital cities, really cool. And we traveled through 21 states. Super cool. These
I may add to that, you also get these statistics at a glance on your trip. And I know in speaking to some of the passengers from this year, some of you have laminated it, framed these. I can't imagine the creativity that you do with the booklets and these statistics as well. And so I'm very honored by how much you appreciated all of these efforts here.
Gene works very, very hard, everyone, to make sure that this trip is very special for each and every one of you. I don't know if you can tell that, but it is absolutely true. And then before we open it up for more talking, this is the question that Deborah always gets asked. How can I sit on the bus for 27 days? You want to take that one, Gene? Sure.
We stop every 2 hours. You're not sitting on the bus for long. When you're sitting on the bus, you're being entertained. I don't entertain every second of a 27-day trip, but for a large portion of it, I'm playing music that's related to where we are. As I said before, I play different videos that really bring out and enhance your experience of the places that we go to. And then you have time to chat with the people and get to know the people sitting around you as well. And then before you know it, all right, it's now time for a 20-minute rest stop. Please be back on the bus at such and such a time, and everybody gets off. And the rest stops that we stop at are also unique because you can always, Deb, close your ears, buy more food. You can buy iconic souvenirs of the place that we stopped in. We usually stop at a travel plaza, something special to that area. We always, so we're stopping every 2 hours. The time flies, and the next thing you know, oh, I can't believe we're already heading east. Oh, I can't believe we only have 3 days to go. And those are the comments that I hear all the time. So yeah, you're on the bus, but you don't feel like you're on the bus, and you're encouraged to stretch. In fact, we absolutely insist that you do stretch your legs so you don't have any problems while, during this trip.
Great. Any insights that you want to lend if you've taken this trip? Any questions that you want to ask?
Yeah,
Go
Carol.
ahead, Carol.
Yeah, I took the 2019 trip. It was absolutely amazing. And Gene doesn't half explain everything that he does each and every day. I mean, I ended up making like my own book here at the end of the trip.
Oh,
I totally loved everything about it. And I mean, with all his statistics, it was very easy because for each day I had all the details of the trip, how many miles, what we did. And I was able to just like do all the pictures. So
That's
I
gorgeous.
mean, he tells you everything. He makes sure you know where we're going, the fun things about it, all the other things. And then once we get there, he has so many different ideas of what we could do there. So thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Carol.
That's awesome. Great job, Jean. Does anybody have any other insights or questions? This is great. All right, I see Beverly's raising her hand.
Yeah, I'm a solo traveler. So any of you
Hi,
out
Bev.
there, hi, Jean. I took the trip this past September. Any of you who are a solo traveler and might be worried about the situation, don't let it cross your mind. The minute you arrive at where the bus drops you off, the entire bus has that one common bond immediately that you're all going on this magnificent trip. You meet friends within seconds, whether you're standing in the parking lot waiting to be checked in, or whether when you're sitting on the bus. It is fabulous. Jean mentioned the laundry rooms. A group of us actually got into trouble at one of the hotels. The manager had to come down and speak to us because there were complaints that we were laughing and making too much noise. So it's a fabulous group of people. You become instant family. Jean is the guide extraordinaire. As was said before, I don't want to repeat other things. He's creative, he's knowledgeable, he's organized beyond belief, he's kind, he's helpful. I can't imagine taking the trip with any other guide other than Jean. So please, if you're thinking about this trip, it's a lot of money, but it is worth every single penny. Start saving. If you can't go in 2022, start saving so you can do it in 2023, because it is a magnificent journey. It was one of the highlights of my life. Every single day I think about it. So thank you, Jean, and thank you, Sandy, for Starr Tours putting this trip together.
Thank you,
You gave me
Bev.
chills, Beverly. You gave me chills. I couldn't have asked for, this is why we do what we do. So thank you for that.
And
The fact that you think about it every day, and Carol has a beautiful book, and I just love to hear this. I love to hear it. And Deb does too, because she talks to all of you before the trip, and she has to make you feel comfortable. This is really important that she hears this as well. So thank you for saying that.
I think Rose has something she wants to say. Rose, can you unmute? Mila?
You're still muted, Rose and Mila.
And by the way, Bev was my Beatles fan extraordinaire as well.
Okay.
So.
I love it.
Well, everything,
Rose.
yes, everything that young lady said is true to fact. I even named Gene the Gem. And
Oh, you were
he
the one that
was-
named him Gene the Gem.
Yes.
Okay.
And he is just a beautiful human being, and is all of the above that she said. I don't want to repeat everything, but I want to tell people that don't hesitate save your money, go on that trip. You'll never be able to do this in your lifetime. It seems like it's a little bit, more that you want to spend, but in the end, it's really worth it. And the highlight is just like, I don't know, there was a couple things that I love. The rock and roll, well, I love that. So that was a highlight for me. The Grand Ole Opry, of course, that was great. And the night at the,
Canyonlands.
yes, when the lights went out and oh my gosh, that was like, forget it.
God.
I thought I was already in heaven. But the Starr people are wonderful. And even Walt, the driver, was magnificent. I wouldn't want to travel any place far without knowing that Gene was going to be the tour guide. And God bless Starr and all of you for how you put things together. We really were very, very impressed. Very.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Gene,
Rose,
Well,
thank
good
you.
holidays, all of you.
Too.
Thank you,
too.
Rose. Wow, this is great. This is great. I want to show you something while we're waiting for anybody to see if they have any thoughts or questions. I'm going to share my screen again because this is something that we just finished. Can you see where it says welcome to the Starr blog?
Yes.
Okay, so this just went up today. This is Gene's report that he sends in every few days during the trip. So you can see this is the westbound post. So this is, part 1. And you can go through. So those of you who were on this trip, you saw my dad, he sent you off. And then, you'll see some key pictures throughout. So this is a really important recap of the trip. For those of you that went on it, this will, bring back memories. For those of you who are thinking about it, we'll certainly be able to use this as a tool to help you kind of know what to expect. So there's a westbound entry, and then of course there's the eastbound coming home.
Would you explain
So-
get there, Sandy, from the website?
Oh, great question. So let's go to the Starr website here. So we're gonna go to the Starr website. This is what you see when you go there. We're gonna click on more, we're just gonna hover over more, and then our blog. Okay, so really just 3 steps. Well, really even 2 steps. So homepage, and then hover over more, and then our blog. And one of these days, I will send an email out to all of those travelers that went, because the other thing I want to do is show you how to get to the pictures as well. So this is the blog. And then when I pop over here, do you see my Facebook or no? What are you
Yeah.
seeing?
I see cross-country yes, Facebook, yeah.
Okay, so if you're interested in this trip at all, I encourage you to join this Facebook group called Starr's Cross Country Travelers. You can send a request. You can even type in Starr's Cross Country Travelers and it will come up, and you have to send a request, or you can ask, you can send an email to me or to Deb, and we can get you the link. And this is where we share information about the trip. It could be, 2021 travelers talking to each other. It could be people trying to find roommates for a future year. The announcement about Tour Tuesday. So anything related to cross country is in this Facebook group. So I highly recommend you coming here. And then also, I didn't do, let's see. I wanted to show you, I should have opened this first, but the Starr Facebook group, hold on. There's the Starr Facebook page, has albums. And we have albums from cross country. So here's the cross country eastbound album. So when you click on that, you can see all the photos that Gene submitted or anybody else from eastbound. And then we have another album for westbound. So this is where you can see all the fabulous pictures. Look, we recognize some of these people. especially this one right here, you can see we have, we have a really good time. You guys have a really good time. I could never go for that long until I retire. Or else you guys would have no trips to take. So just lots and lots of great trips, great pictures. Again, you can find this by going to the Starr Facebook page. So facebook.com/Starr Tours. And I believe you can, albums somewhere. I'm gonna need to send you the link, but you can see we just posted the eastbound today. So if you go today, you'll be able to see the
Oh, good.
eastbound. And I think we posted westbound, or we will be posting it very soon. So so those are some important resources for those of you that are considering a cross-country trip. Do we have any other questions? Oh, Gloria asked, sounds like a lot of walking, hill climbing. Is that rough on anyone? So do you want to talk about the level of walking and climbing, Jean?
Yes, you do what you can do is basically the philosophy here. There are some people who get off the bus and there are scouts. They walk, a mile, 2 miles around the hotel. When we're at national parks, they want to take the extra little hike. The viewpoints, though, are very short walks. Like if you go to the national parks, you get off the bus and, 50 feet, you see the beautiful viewpoint. We drive right up to them. The hikes that I talked to you about are all optional. They're up to you. We provide the time. So while we're hiking, it might take 40 minutes to do the 3/4 around that Painted Desert or Petrified Forest. There are other petrified logs that you could sit on and take pictures of and occupy yourselves as well. The walking is, there's some walking, but I wouldn't say we've had people going with walkers. We've had people going on oxygen, and they've been very successful. So
I do want to make it clear, there is a lot of off and on the bus. So if you're uncomfortable getting off and on the bus easily, a few steps here and there, probably not the trip for you. Just it's a 27 days that you'll be gone for. So I would love for everybody to come, but I would want people to come that know what they're getting into, which is, 27 days off and on the bus multiple times a day, walking to a hotel room, definitely being more active maybe than you would be normally at home. Good question. Any other questions? I think Jean covered everything. You did an amazing job. If you haven't taken this trip, we hope you consider it. You can, Jean has offered to talk to anybody who's considering the trip. He loves to talk about it. Deb knows a lot about this trip as well. So she's a wealth of knowledge. And then if you join the Facebook group, you can literally ask people that have gone on the trip before so that they can talk you through questions and help you feel comfortable, booking the trip, etc. Jean, have you known anybody that got a roommate through the Facebook group or found, didn't know their roommate going in, and how did that go? Has that happened?
not on the cross country as of yet. At least they've known the people they were staying with.
Gotcha.
It's a long time in case you don't, I'd recommend highly that you meet up with them and talk about it beforehand, but rather than just meet up and go on a 27-day trip with somebody you don't know. But that's just me. I don't know. Some people are different. So
yeah, understand.
Sandy, Sandy, a couple of years ago, I had 2 women that did not know each other. I had them talk to each other. They met, had coffee, talked several times, and they ended up being roommates, and it was fine. But that's not the norm.
Great. Got it. Jean, Gloria's asking, how often is the restroom cleaned on the bus?
Oh, my God. The bus drivers sanitize that bus inside. Inside, they sanitize and clean daily, definitely daily, and sometimes twice daily as far as the bathrooms. I know when people get off the bus, I see Walt with a spray can spraying all the seats and all the touch areas and the bathroom, and then people get back on the bus after the rest stop and smells fresh and clean again. So quite often, especially during this time of COVID. And Walt also keeps the outside of the bus washed. He's out there at 9 o'clock at night washing the bus. And Walt, you got to get to bed. You've got to drive the next day. Oh, I'm good. I'm just have to clean this bus, and so it's spotless. Anybody who's been on the trip will note that every day the bus is spotless.
Great. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Oh, Phyllis, do you have a question?
Yes, I wanted to ask, how much is a down payment do you have to put down to go, and how long do you have to pay on it before you finish paying on it?
Deb?
$250 deposit and the balance is due. I don't remember the date. It's like 45 days prior.
Okay.
Give me a call. I'll give you all the skinny, Phyllis.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only a $250 deposit, and that deposit is refundable, I believe, up to 45 days prior to the trip. So it's risk-free up to 45 days for sure. Any other questions? Before I get to pick my winner, my last winner of 2021. Oh my God. Oh, hold on. Gloria, do you have one more question? Oh, I thought she was raising her hand. And then somebody else asked me, are there any plans for a new cross country in the future, maybe more north? There are no plans in the works right now, but it's always in the back of our minds. As you can imagine, it takes manpower, woman power, beyond what you can imagine, days, weeks, planning something like this. So right now, still kind of hanging into a global pandemic. We are definitely not concentrating on making a new itinerary, but we do have friends that have an itinerary that goes from Western PA to Alaska. So we have looked at that in the past. So we'll continue to look at that in the future, but no, I would say this route is going to be 2022, obviously, and then probably 2023 as well. And then maybe in 2024, we'll look to do a new route. But, every time we look to do a new route, we always come back to like this same route. It's just so impactful, and there's so much to see and do on this route that it's hard to take people anywhere else. That being said, we do have a 14-day trip to Texas. Am I right, Deb? 14 days?
15.
15-day trip to Texas. So it's not 27 days, but if you want to give this a try, you're not sure about 27 days and you're willing to try 2 weeks, I highly recommend our Texas trip. We did it a few years ago. It was fabulous. Jean didn't escort it. We had a different escort on it. And we'll have a different escort in 2022 because we are doing that Texas trip again. And it's a really great trip as well. So
I believe
Texas,
I think we already have 18 people booked on that.
wow. We've got a couple long trips, like a Daytona, Florida trip in January or February.
New Orleans.
New Orleans, Nova Scotia. So we do have a lot of big trips coming up. So I think that's it. All right. Our winner, our $25 gift card winner is Charlie Yule. Did I get that name right? Charlie Yule. We can see you. We can see you, Charlie. So we will be in touch with you. Congratulations on winning our $25 gift card. Maybe you'll use it towards cross country. Who knows? I just wanted
to thank everybody for joining me on this, and I hope to see many of your faces on future cross countries, and happy Thanksgiving and wonderful holidays to all of you.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. I want to especially
Thank-
thank Gene for going to all this hard work to put this presentation together and to be here, volunteering to share his knowledge with all of you, and to obviously show his love for this trip. It's just so wonderful to see how serious and into it he is and how much joy he gets from talking about this trip. It's, as somebody who has a vested interest in the company, to see somebody like Gene and to have somebody like Gene work for us and be a part of this is just truly fabulous. So thank you so much, Gene. I thank you all for being here tonight and joining us. I thank you if you've traveled with us to cross country, or on our cross country trip or on any of our trips. I thank you so much. This is the time that we give thanks, and I am thankful for each and every one of you, more than you know, especially during times like this where we're coming out of this global pandemic stronger than ever, with a great team of individuals that are working so hard for Starr day in and day out. People like Deborah, people like Jean, people like Evie, people like Kathy, who has joined us with air tours, and it's just so meaningful to be here with you all right before Thanksgiving. So thank you for that.
And Sandy, and people like you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you, Deb. Thank you. I won't see you guys on another Tour Tuesday until 2022. I know, I'm bummed, but that will be so busy that time will fly, and 2022 will be here before we know it. No, I don't have my schedule yet because there's so much going on in the office that we're working on, but we will be back in action in 2022 with a whole new schedule of Tour Tuesdays. You'll see people like Deb and Jean, and of course me on the screen again, and we'll talk about all the wonderful trips that we offer. So
Sandy, when do you expect to have the new catalogs out?
Oh, great question, Jean. It's like I planted that question. I had you, I meant to say that. So thank you for reminding me. We are planning to mail the catalog in early January, just like we do every year. We don't count 2021 and 2020 really. But yes, our big vacations catalog for 2022 is scheduled to come out in January. We are working on it as we speak. And we're really excited to present that to you. However, if you don't want to wait for that, that's okay, because our tours are online. And as soon as we finish them up, we put them online. So you can go onto our website and see what we have to offer until the catalog comes out. So, all right, everybody. Thank you again. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Happy
Thanksgiving.
holidays. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Great to see
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
Happy everything. Merry everything.
Happy holidays.
Okay.
Take care, everybody.
Next year.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.